All right, and we're live, getting it in there. Let's make sure we get our Facebook groups in here before we start. I love Achy Dragon coming in here. Yeah, spinning wheels coming in. 1 and 2. Let's get that ceremonious coffee sip to get it going here. Prost. Ah, man, good stuff today. Peppermint creamer in the holiday spirit, and let's get it going. Welcome in. It is a Broncos Victory Monday. Scott and I are just joining you from over covering the Falcons on his channel, but now we're over here to talk some Broncos. How you doing, Scott? I feel like we didn't get a chance to talk too much. How are things in Georgia? It sounds like you're freezing your nips off out there.
Yeah, it's in the 20s heading down for the teens. I'm like, that's not just cold for Georgia. That's cold for everywhere. So I was actually in Orlando over the weekend, a little baseball tournament. So drive down on Friday, drive back on Sunday. All in all, I feel pretty good. Tomorrow it might catch up with me though, but all in all, I'm feeling good. So I got to listen to the games and then I watched the replays. That's an interesting way to do it. I kind of like having the description of the games. Dave Logan does a good job with the play-by-play. And really painting a picture and then watching the games and seeing things, for yourself. So I have enjoyed it and looking forward to talking some Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's great to talk a little Broncos after a victory. It wasn't the prettiest game, obviously not the most notable team, but we came on here and said it. This is a Broncos team that, while they are bad and very injured, didn't look like they quit yet. And this is a Cardinals team that looked like they damn well quit. I mean, the Broncos, let's just get right into it. This Broncos team had one of their best rushing performances of the season this week against the Arizona Cardinals. What do we have here on the efficiency metrics for that? We had only 20 rushing, or that's the Cardinals, 34 rushing attempts, 4.9 yards per carry, 168 yards, leading the way. Latavius Murray, 24 carries, 130 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, and a 35-yard long. I mean, God, Scott, I feel like we've been screaming all year that if this Broncos team is going to function in the parameters of their limitations with how the Russell Wilson offense has to be, the injuries on the offensive line, they're protecting the offensive line. This is a team that needs to run the damn football. They came out and did it well this week.
Yeah, they did. And Latavius Murray, I was like, man, he looks like prime Eddie George out there. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm cutting Latavius Murray short. He looks like prime Latavius Murray out there. We talked about a little bit about, he has that. Sometimes he gets a little happy feet, where he's trying to sidestep, but it was working this time. Guys were sliding off of him as he was going through, and it felt like he was running downhill all game, which was great. And considering you went through about 14 offensive linemen to finally get it gelled, in the second half and just be able to impose your will. I mean, it's the Cardinals, okay, but you've played some bad teams. You've been against some in some close games where the effort, let's run the ball, would have worked for this team. And it was good to see. Marlon Mack played great. Latavius Murray played great. Rippon played within himself. You beat a team you should have beat, and well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And also getting the running backs involved in the pass game. Marlon Mack, 4 receptions, 26 yards, did okay there. 10-yard long. Latavius Murray had a catch for 12 yards. This is something we've been wanting this Broncos team to utilize, just how they're set up. They need the running backs to be dynamic. And after you lost Javonte Williams, they've been anything but until this week. You had a few splashes here or there, but good to see them getting going there against a very terrible Cardinals defense with 2 first-round linebackers there. Didn't make much of a difference on Sunday. Got to pound that drum. Mr. Sir McLovin coming in saying, good morning, fellas. It's been a while. Love the show. And also I saw that, yes, you have surgery in a couple hours. Well, Mr. Sir McLovin, good luck to you. Sending out good vibes. I'm sure the chat will as well. Make sure you guys, good luck to Mr. McLovin in the chat here, and hope everything goes well.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming in on Twitch, and we'll be thinking about you. So, Holiday, get recovered well and enjoy some time with your family. We're hoping the Boogmeister coming in, kicking us off green, breaking the ice this morning on a cold December day. He says, good morning, guys. I bet the Broncos will end up keeping Hackett, but end up getting rid of everybody around him except for Evero. We'll see. I mean, we will see. It's just that just feels like, again, what do you do here? We don't trust you to call plays. We don't trust you to run the offense. We don't trust you to pick your coaches. What are you doing? What are we doing here? Except I don't want to pay somebody else, which is, don't get me wrong, that's a big factor. I don't want to have to double pay, or would it be triple pay? What was left on Fangio's contract?
It'd be triple pay.
Yeah. I don't want to have to pay 3 head coaches in 2023. That could be a factor. But again, it's just he's already, had his hands tied so much. It's like, I don't know. I don't know, Nick. Like I said, I wouldn't ever come out and say it's 100% that he's gone. I might have with Fangio last year, but this is different. This is a year one, ton of injuries, all those excuses that we can pile up. I still feel like it's 90% you're looking at a new coach next year.
They have 3 games left to decide, and if they go out and win 2 of those 3 games, there's going to be a chance. I mean, we've seen it the last 2 weeks. This is a Chiefs team that looks vulnerable right now. This is not a great Rams team who plays tonight. They have one less day of preparation here coming up, and then you got the Chargers at home, who more talented and healthier than the Broncos, which is crazy to say about a Chargers team being more healthy than anybody. But I think there's a chance there. And heck, what do you do here? Maybe next year we can have Nathaniel Hackett, dress up as Miles, the mascot, out there on the sideline. But I think there's definitely a chance at this point that he could come back. We'll see what happens though, because 3 games, if they go out there and play competent and you feel like you're building momentum there, I think there's a chance it could happen.
Jacob Foster getting us started on Facebook with the Stars, the silent one. I told you the story of meeting Jacob. There was somebody he was at the meet and greet, someone kind of standing off to the side. I'm a host of sorts. I feel like a guest since it was my first time there, but I need to make sure everybody feels welcome. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Scott. He's like, oh, Jacob Foster. We kind of both said together, oh, the silent one. That makes sense. So welcome. It was nice to meet you at the time. Appreciate you being here and being a big supporter of Broncos for breakfast. Thank you, Jacob, and hope you're having a good holiday season.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jacob. Thank you also to the Bookmaster, and also shout out to Mr. McLovin as well. Kevin Gray saying, morning, Broncos country, had to listen to the game on TV. No TV. I'm very happy for the win on building the offensive line. I agree with Scott. 3 in the draft, 3 free agents. Merry Christmas, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. And I'm going to go back and watch this game again, and this team does need it just to get in the injuries here. Tom Compton looks like he injured his back again. I couldn't tell what the injury was. The way his hand was, it looked like his re-aggravating his back, which has been an issue out there. And then you also had Quinn Miners getting poked in the eye, which badly. Yeah, he had to go be rushed to an eye specialist. I'm not sure what the long-term outlook is for that as well. We might not see him again this season because of that, which sucks because he was a solid building player. But this Broncos offensive line, they did a pretty good job mashing. And I know that, God, it's really not to talk down on anybody, but it's really weird the conversation surrounding backup offensive tackle Calvin Anderson, who, to his credit, has been fine in pass protection, but gets absolutely no push at the point of attack in the run game. And the Broncos' explosive runs, where do they come in this game? You guys guessed it, behind Cam Fleming out there at left tackle. So the Broncos obviously leaning into the run game and playing Fleming and running behind Fleming to great effect there on the left side of the line of scrimmage. We might have to see a shakeup this week because Turner's healthy. Fleming's your best run blocker by far now with Quinn Miners being out, and maybe then you put Anderson back at left tackle. But shout out to the run blocking. Horrible pass blocking the wall around. Wattenberg, Glasgow, Compton getting destroyed by J.J. Watt in the first half.
Well, one of my notes on this was I can see why they didn't rush Tom Compton back.
Yeah.
He struggled. I think his first play in was like a holding, and then the next one he gives up a sack. And that first, two of his first 3 plays, I'm like, okay. He struggled, and again, to be fair to him, he has been battling injury, which maybe wasn't 100% because he was out pretty quickly. And this is his first time out there. I get it. But if this was if this was 100% for him, I see why they didn't rush him back, and if this is where he is, then because he's not healthy, then they did rush him back and he wasn't ready because even when he was playing, he wasn't playing very well. And then he was out hurt again. So it's been a wasted year for that spot for the Denver Broncos and for Tom Compton. What's not wasted is Miguel Stevan coming in, says, good morning, fellas. What are your thoughts on Gregory? My thoughts watching him on Randy Gregory is that he is just a tantalizing, he's a tease. I use the phrase coach killers for guys like this. He's so long. He's so active. He's so quick. He's so disruptive, and he's so unavailable. You see why everybody wants to pay this guy and have him on the field, and you see why he has 10 career sacks. This is a microcosm of his career has been this season. When he's out there, he's a force. He's disruptive. He's taken on 2 guys, and if you try and block him with 1, he's causing problems in the backfield. And he plays 6 games a year.
Yep.
He's a tease, Miguel.
He's here next year, and you just got to hope for the best with him. And if not, you can move on from him. But I mean, we're talking about it. This offseason, we're going over the Cowboys games. I'm like, this is the second best player, most athletic player in their line of scrimmage. This looks like a guy that when you're scouting how a first round pick looks on a college team compared to their teammates against a lot of those Cowboys pass rushes as well. I mean, the traits, the tools, the length, the bend, the get off, it's all outstanding and worthy of a number 1 alpha edge rusher on a team. I mean, he has the ability to be like the athletic ability and the flashes out there to be a top 10, top 15 pass rusher in the entire NFL. The issue is that, as Scott mentioned, cannot stay healthy. It's why you were able to get him on the contract that he signed, despite being much younger than Von Miller and Chandler Jones, who signed much bigger deals. Pretty happy we got Gregory, even though he's been injured compared to Chandler Jones. Also, God, just real quick, Scott, the funniest thing I ever saw in my entire life. That's Raiders. A bold statement. You saw the end of the Raiders-Patriots game, right?
I did not.
I almost want to play it on here. I think we'll lose our monetization if we play an NFL snap. I guess I'll explain it to you. So it's like no time left, and the Patriots are trying to do like trick plays to score. And I think it was Jacoby Myers threw it backwards to Chandler Jones on the other team, like a lob pass right to the Raiders defender. And then it was just Chandler Jones versus Mac Jones. Good luck. Just trucked him, ran it 50 yards for a touchdown. I mean, it was one of the sickest things I've ever seen. It was up there with one of the worst plays in NFL history. Like this will be up there with the butt fumble. It was that.
Yeah, I will check it out. But no, I didn't see it. That one was, I got home at about 8:45 last night, did an edit and went to bed and then got up early and watched football. I was watching games this morning.
Okay, well, you're going to laugh really hard. I'm not laughing, though. $20 coming in from Clinton Watson. Clinton Watson. This name does not stick out to me.
Clinton's been around lately. Clinton's coming in big, announcing his presence with authority lately. So appreciate you coming in and being a big part of Mile High Huddle and our show, Clinton.
Must be the evening shows, but thank you for joining us in the morning, Clinton. Happy holidays to you, making our holidays a little better, too. Coming in saying, awesome to see Latavius get 100+ today. Love y'all. It's always the darkest before the dawn. I want to watch football with my son. It was much easier for me to latch on to the 97 team when I was his age. So many legends. Love y'all. Well, keep him in Denver. Make sure he loves this team because I'm seeing a lot more of, I'm a Bronco fan. I was raised a Bronco fan, but I got my kid this Patrick Mahomes jersey for Christmas because he loves Mahomes. And it's like, no, like we can't have that. We don't need a generation of Chiefs fans out here growing up. We need to keep it in-house. They need to suffer like the rest of us. No, Clinton, thank you so much for the 20, making it much less suffering this holidays for out here at Mile High Huddle.
You listen to a bunch of kids talk football in Atlanta, and it's you don't want it to be like that. I promise you. So who's your team? And if they're quiet, they're about to say the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
But it'll turn around. It'll turn around. And appreciate you coming in again. And Tony coming in with a comment I enjoyed. Tony says maybe they should consider benching Wilson until next season. He put a big smiley face on it. Don't. I promise you that's been considered.
Yeah.
Promise you it's been considered. So, he cleared protocol and they held him out a week. That may just be an extra precaution. But it might be a sign of things to come. Now, I'd put the chance that he doesn't play again at like 10%, but, another week to get him right. But I promise you that conversation has happened, Tony. I promise you.
If it happens, you almost have to wonder, not to put a tinfoil hat here. Scott, last time I put on my tinfoil hat, you got upset at me because it was that far out there. But it sounded like he was ticked. It sounded like he was mad that he did not play this week, that he cleared and everything. So if they did it to him again, I'd almost be like they're trying to get him to demand a trade out of there or something. Because
I don't know how that can possibly happen based on the dead cap numbers. I mean,
I agree.
The clickbait stuff around Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers has $100 million dead cap. I mean, I'm gonna talk to my Green Bay Packers guy. I got a Packers guy, Bill Huber.
I met Bill
for a long time, friend of mine. I'm gonna give him a call and check in and say, because I think he could probably pay back his signing bonus, but you'd have to refund some of the money in order to get out from under that deal, which is possible. But that ends up getting I don't even know if you can do that, Nick, unless you retire. Because that would be circumventing the salary cap, because Aaron Rodgers would send $50 million. I put it in escrow. It's in the bank. I didn't need $50 million this year. Give it back to the Packers, but then get a signing bonus on his new contract from whoever he's traded to. And that's circumventing of the rules. That's loopholes, which the NFL doesn't particularly like.
Yeah.
I just don't know how it's even possible to try and move on from either one of these guys next season without taking a combined $200 million cap hit.
Yeah, well, my point mostly was I don't see any way that Russell Wilson allows them to bench him again this week, and to the point where it would like maybe severely sever, not just impact, but sever their relationship. So I would expect him to play this week. A few more people to say hello to. Jeremy Sean, happy Monday, fellas. Actually had fun watching the Broncos second half. Maybe it'll be a Merry Christmas after all. Well, let's see how it goes in LA on the 25th. Maybe we'll have a back-to-back game win streak. That'd be amazing. Broncos now have the third pick being sent. They don't have it. The Seahawks have the third pick via the Denver Broncos. But hey, it's not number 2 anymore. And if we win this week, it might drop all the way down to 5, which if the Broncos can get out of the top 3, I am going to be doing jumping jacks. I'm going to be dancing
5
around.
wins. It's going to knock you on the door of 7 or 8.
Yeah.
If you can get 5 wins. Because that's where the Falcons are the first 5-win team picking right now, and they're at 7.
Yeah. Yep. So that would be amazing. The one that kind of throws a wrench in things is the Colts with their tie out there, but it will be interesting to see what happens with the damn Colts. Week 1.
Colts
tying to the
Titans. I was watching that game just by score on my phone.
Oh,
it was 22 points. So what was it? 36-14 at the time.
It was 33-0.
But I was like in the fourth quarter at this point now. You're like,
yep.
Matt Ryan wouldn't blow a 22-point lead in the fourth quarter, would he?
Poor Matt Ryan. God, it's your defense has to be like out there like playing blindfolded.
It's not all on him, but for him to be part of that twice, man. The Matt Ryan haters in Atlanta were throwing parties this weekend.
Poor guy. I feel bad for him. Mario Lewis, although he went to Boston College instead of Iowa, so maybe not too bad. I'm on a rampage with the Iowa Hawkeye recruiting right now. Mario Lewis, good morning. Finally going to work with the Broncos win. It's been a bit, but we'll take it. Bama X. I'm so mad at you, Bama X. Caden Proctor. It better not happen. It's going to happen. I'm already sad. Morning, Broncos country. Good to see you. Ethan always coming in. Happy holidays to you, Ethan, saying good afternoon, Broncos country. Blave Bliss in the house. Morning, Broncos country. Nick and Scott, hope you all have a great day today. Absolutely. We also got Luke saying hi. Been looking forward to this episode. This must be because of win. It can't just be because of us. You're just looking forward to a win show. But we appreciate you. Go Broncos. Also, Rodney Garcia, our guy. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. So happy to see Denver get a win on U.S. soil for the first time since September 25th. Hope they continue to improve with these final 3 games. And Luke Wright as well. Good to see you. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Scott, do we see any more Broncos victories this season? Put you on the spot. We have 3 games left, 2 against the AFC West, 1 against the Rams. What do you set in the over?
Chargers, Rams.
Rams this week at it's the Nickelodeon slime game on Christmas Day. If anybody's excited about that, they put on like graphics, and when you score a touchdown, they slime the screen, and it's like
it was just graphics, right? They're not actually sliming anybody.
I wish they would, man. It's a slime worthy game. But then you head to Arrowhead in a late December game. God, why do they do this to us constantly? Let's make the Chiefs play or Denver play in Kansas City in September. God bless. And then you have to close out the season with the Chargers at home with a chance to maybe knock the Chargers out of the playoffs.
There are worse places to play in Christmas than LA, though. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
That's not a bad place to be on Christmas Day as in LA. Having spent 9 or 10 of them there myself. So will they get another win? There's that big pause I'm looking for when I'm editing. What's that gap for? That was Scott deciding and going, will they get another win? Maybe. Golly, I feel like it's 50-50 on the Rams. Flip a coin on that one. I'm going to say yes, they're going to beat the Rams. Maybe they're going to beat the Rams. I wouldn't want to put anything on that game at all. But with a backup quarterback in, with Matt Stafford back there, yes. I say yes. Without him, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. The Rams. Well, ask me again tomorrow after the Monday night game.
Yeah. Does it change at all if the Broncos are playing Russell Wilson or not?
For your prediction? It does to me. Yeah, it does. I think, I'm not going out on a limb here, but Russell Wilson's a better quarterback. However, as we've talked about and watching the chat talk about in here, is that the game plan changes when he's a quarterback, and you actually play to your strengths better when you don't have him. We see that, and I like to use a lot of basketball analogies. Star player goes out, other players step up. And that's 4 versus 5, but the game plan changes, and you lean on what you're better at when he's not out there.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. But, I think, he played well against the Chiefs. He was good. He hasn't been solely at fault at some of these, with this season. But I think Russell would still help this team. And if Russell's playing, I think it's the Rams. If it's ripping, if Russell's playing, I think it's the Broncos. If it's ripping, I think it's the Rams.
I agree with you. Ryan Slavic, good morning, Broncos country. Some great things yesterday. Absolutely. Justin Simmons, how about that? Only player in the NFL with 3+ interceptions the last 5 seasons, every single season. So incredible stat there for Justin Simmons' longevity, despite playing on a perennially losing team, to still get those takeaways. So very good safety over that career. We'll see if he can keep it up here. What is he, 30 years old, 31? But also he talks about bringing Latavius Murray back. Maybe. I think the conversation with Latavius Murray completely revolves around 2 things. One, the long-term knee perspective with Javonte Williams. Is he going to be back week 1? I mean, we're so far out still that anything right now is just a projection, especially from where we sit. So don't know about that. The other one is, considering when you got Latavius Murray, I think you can take the Melvin Gordon approach you took this last offseason with him. You want him back? Okay, let's wait until after the draft. If you take one in rounds 2 through 5 that you like more, maybe you don't bring back Murray then. But he'll probably still be there after the draft.
You could offer him veteran minimum, no guarantees.
Yeah.
and if he signs that, great. And, or a small signing bonus, $200,000 or something. That wouldn't hurt you, but, not tie yourself into him. But yeah, he's at the very least, Andrew, he's played himself into an NFL job next year.
Yep.
Somewhere for sure. And so is Mac for that matter. But again, you're pulling these guys off practice squads. It just goes back to, Nick beating the drum on, why would I use a first-round pick on a running back? I mean, we're talking about, we got to re-sign these guys. We got to re-sign these guys right now. They look great. They were pull off practice squads. It's not hard to find guys that can carry the football. That might be one of the easiest things to do in this game. Andrew coming in. Appreciate the stars, Andrew. He says, Jerry Jeudy's resurgence, is that from the lights finally going on, or did the coach start using him right? Part of it is the opportunity that has been available to him with other players going down. So now he's moved himself up in the pecking order of, where am I throwing the ball? I'm not trying to force the ball 12 times to Cortland Sutton on the outside. And I think part of it is also that he is playing outside more and in a little bit more space, which is good for him because he's good at creating space. And he's just, again, I think it's opportunity as much as anything, Andrew, is how I feel about Jerry Jeudy, and good for him. He's taking advantage of it. Good player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's a number 1 per se in the NFL, but really good option. And I mean, they need to make him the number 1 read on more throws, and they need to get him the football on that number 1 read. Not always be hunting for the explosives, but if it's a intermediate gain and get him the ball in space. I mean, I saw a couple yak opportunities for him in this one. The offensive scheme and infrastructure look better this week. Granted, when you can run the football, things do look better outside of the horrible sacks from this game. How many times was Rippon sacked in this game? I think it was 8 sacks. No, 7 sacks for 41 yards. Ugh, that's horrible. Still, you were able to run the football. Luckily, it's not college football where sack yards count as negatives in your rushing total. It'd look a lot different out there. Let's keep saying hello to some people in here. Malcolm Brown, hello from Homer, Alaska. Good to see you. Flying Dragon Films, good morning, Broncos country. We got Dave Glassman in the house. Always good to see you, Dave. Chase Wellner, morning all. That was a great day of football. A lot of fun football definitely being played yesterday, no doubt. We got Mark Lennon mode. Good to see you again, Mark. We saw you on the Over channel just a little bit ago. Always appreciate you coming in to support the Falcons show as well. Kevin Murray saying we're only going to get better. Next year will be a lot better. Stay the damn course. This sounds like a pining for the bringing back Nathaniel Hackett. I'm not fully against it, but we'll see how it plays out. I think you got 3 games here. If they finish 2-3, I think there's a chance that it could happen. Or yeah, 2 out of 3, excuse me. Then there's a chance it could happen. That's a hard ask, though, considering this team has only won 4 games on the entire season, and one of those games is at Arrowhead. Obviously, your toughest game of the entire season. Probably a Chiefs team that is looking to step on the throats this time versus, letting a team get back in there, especially. But who knows? That's why you play the game.
I'm kind of with Clee. He posted when we were talking about, saving his job. He says, if this game saved Nathaniel Hackett's job, I'm done. So you might want to think, Clee, on this, because again, this Arizona Cardinals team right now might be the worst team in football. Houston's been playing tough the last couple games. I would take Houston over Arizona right now.
Yep.
This Arizona Cardinals team might be the worst team, but you imposed your will on them. You did what you were supposed to do. You played within yourselves. You made plays. It was a good Broncos game. I'm not taking anything away from the Denver Broncos. I'm just saying that if Nathaniel Hackett is back next year, it's because he was always going to be back. That's the way I see it. I don't think there's any, could he save his job? That was the talk last year. It's like, if Fangio beats the Chiefs, will he save his job? I mean, that decision was made 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So he's either, again, unless something goes completely off the rails and it changes it from he was coming back to he's not, then the decision's already been made. You're not going game to game on a $50 million decision.
You could be waiting until the end of the season, though, to take the entire sample size without a decision being totally made yet. So you have the entire picture painted.
You've got a pretty good idea, I promise you.
Yeah. But I do think that I don't think a final decision has been made yet. They're going to have to evaluate in the words of Nathaniel Hackett, we're going to have to evaluate everything. James Hyatt coming in here saying, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Our guy, Ernie Mays. Hello, gentlemen. Go Broncos. Good win yesterday at home. That was our 299th home win. Well, the Broncos have one more home game this season against the Chargers. God, it would be sweet to keep them out of the playoffs by beating them. I'm a Justin Herbert fan, but not to the point where it wouldn't be good to see him. He's never made the playoffs. That's because of the Broncos knocking him out. That'd be great. Cristiano, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. A win is a win, right? Yeah. Nobody's apologizing for beating the Broncos when they've been decimated by injury. You shouldn't have to apologize for beating the Cardinals when you're both decimated by injury. Go out there and get that win and push that Seahawks pick out of the top 3. That would be great for this team. Got to catch my favorite guys live today. Who's up later? No, I'm just kidding. Double Joy, been watching this show post fact. Well, glad you could join us today live. We appreciate the heck out of you coming in, and happy holidays to you as well. We got Brad D in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott from Frigid Montana.
Coming back on Facebook as well. And Brad says he's coming in for 35 below. Yeah, that's not healthy.
Yeah, gonna see some tauntauns running across your backyard there pretty soon.
Like, if 18 is cold anywhere, what's minus 20? I told him, he's like, well, that's colder. Duh. No, 18 is cold. Minus 35 is ridiculous.
Yeah, people should not live there.
And then Miguel came back in with some stars. Wanted to say thank you to Miguel. He says with his stars comment over on Facebook, he says, I know we need an OL in the draft, but I really want to see us pick up another edge or defensive tackle to create more pressure. Yeah, there's no saying you have to go offensive tackle with your first round pick. Reaching for one might be the worst thing that you could possibly do. Now, if one presents itself, then you might want to go there. But we've talked ad nauseum on this because we talk a lot during the week that you can find help in the offensive line in the second, third. You don't have a second, but in the third round, especially in the interior. And maybe go get a guy who isn't coming off the injured reserve in free agency to be a good right tackle option. But yeah, you don't want to tie yourself into saying we have to have a tackle in the first round. The worst thing you could do is reach and get a guy that can't play. Yep. Keep getting good football players and you'll be okay. Don't reach for a guy just because you have a need. That's something that Nick and I have talked about. The best player available thing. It rankles my feathers a little bit because best player available is so subjective that if it's close, you want to try and fill a need
or value.
If it's not close, then you go with the best player. But when you're picking in the 20s, then you should have 6 or 7 guys that you think are right there that are available that I say, okay, I could pick one of these guys and they're all pretty close. I want to try and fit a need at that point.
Yeah.
And if there's one of those isn't a tackle and one of them's an edge, by God, I'm going edge.
Yeah, 100%. And this season should be a proof that what you think the idealized roster is can change quickly. A year ago, if we'd have been talking about drafting a running back in the 3rd round, people would have been screaming at us. Why would you do that? You got Javonte Williams. Having a 3rd round caliber running back right now, or even a 5th round caliber running back, Tyler Algier, killing it out there in Atlanta this last week. 100-yard game, touchdown. I think like 7 yards a carry or something.
He's second in the NFL among rookies right now.
And he's breaking tackles left and
in
right.
yards.
Yeah, he's been great. He'd be damn good in Denver right now because the running back room is decimated. We talked wide receiver early as well. Maybe this Broncos team will consider wide receiver. Why would you do that? You have Judy, Hamler, Sutton, Tim Patrick. Blink of an eye, you're down to one of those guys. So you need to take good talent because injuries will decimate you, especially at value positions. Because if you get down to the scrubs, not to be too harsh on those guys, but you get down to the terrible, borderline rosterable players at edge, wide receiver, cornerback, tackle, you're in big freaking trouble. So I'd rather stack those positions than, we have one spot for a safety out there. You can find a safety. Stack those value positions.
So Sackmar comes and he says, we should have put in that Muti guy, shake my head. And yeah, it would have been nice to have him available. But again, I'm going to say just from a purely football standpoint, Wattenberg's on the team because he also plays center. That's, he's your backup center. And then he played left guard. He played right guard. Nick, I thought he looked better at right guard than left guard. Come second half, I thought he was, for the most part, holding his own out there. Did he get beat a few times? Yeah. Most guys do. I don't want to amplify on, getting beat on an inside move. I was trying to keep an eye on him. I'm like, okay, as they're running the ball and really imposing their will in the second half, Wattenberg was okay. Glasgow was playing okay. Again, line up, let me go after somebody.
Yeah.
Don't make me have to pick up 5 different blitzers because we're doing some complicated passing scheme and we're always throwing the ball. That's my guy. Let me try and move him. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm still a firm believer, especially when you're struggling with personnel, Nick.
Yeah, and that's something I do want to throw the offensive line a little bit of a bone in the pass blocking department. Obviously, if you're losing your one-on-ones straight up, like we saw Compton, Glasgow, we saw Cam Fleming get beat on a speed rush from the 9 tech position from Marcus Golden out there. But this is an Arizona Cardinal team that likes to use a lot of deception and blitzing, and we are that far down in your reserves in the offensive line. It's pretty damn hard to have chemistry and communication out there. And we saw a few free rushers or guys, just standing in space, letting guys go around them because you are that far down the list of starters, players in general on the offensive line. That makes it pretty hard. You'd hope that Brett Rippon would be able to get rid of the ball. I know that he had 7 sacks. I think about 3 of those were probably on him, not getting rid of the football in time. He hits the end of his drop back. Nobody's there. Get rid of the damn ball, Brett. Throw it away. But definitely not the best offensive line performance from a pass blocking perspective. The run blocking, though, man, we got to give him credit. I feel like you see the bad with the pass blocking and you get angry about that. But then you have to also go back and talk about the ceiling block on the outside for the run game and the benefits of that as well. And I thought that specifically in the second half, they did a pretty darn good job there outside of this guy. You're right. Lord of Liberty. Wattenberg isn't a bad run blocker. He gets spanked in pass pro. I don't think he's a great run blocker either. It's tougher in pass protection, no doubt, especially when you're isolated against J.J. Watt, who has a height, weight, speed, length advantage against you. Also, Alessandro coming in saying Wattenberg is looking like a bust. He's a 5th round pick. The Broncos, a lot of their interior offensive linemen that have drafted that late, day 3, typically spend year 1 on the practice squad. We'll see what he looks like, but the fact that they traded up for him, the fact that they let Moody leave without him, the fact that he's already, 24 years old, those are all factors that are negatives in the Wattenberg department.
Yeah, but as far as I'm with Cristiano on this, and I highlighted that just so I could basically say this whole thing. 5th round rookies in the trenches aren't busts. If you get contributors in the 5th round, you're hitting for the most part. But depth guys, that's a hit. Let alone and you can miss without being a complete bust. I mean, what are your expectations coming in for Luke Wattenberg as a 5th round 24-year-old rookie? Why did he? If he was older, okay. If he was older and really good, he still would have gone higher. Because I can still get 12 years out of a 24-year-old offensive lineman. I'm okay with that. So I'm with that one too. Benjamin Flores coming in says victory Monday for sure. And who's coming in? Broncos orange is Coach Chris. Appreciate you, Chris, helping to keep the lights on, keep my forehead nice and shiny, and keep Nick in all kinds of different hats.
Yeah, they got the collection going there. I feel like nobody's mentioned I got the beautiful old school D helmet. Thank you to the old band sending that out there, the replica Broncos helmet. But that's been, we used to have a horse mask
If
up
we
there.
beat the Chiefs, if the Broncos beat the Chiefs, you have to do the next pod in that helmet.
You know what? That is not going to happen. It says, please do not put on the helmet on the back. Also, I was just, you know what? I wonder if it would even fit.
That's just for like, don't put it on like to use it because it's not to standard. Do not use this helmet.
If that helmet goes on my head, I'm getting buried in it because it's not coming off. That's what I'll say. I was like, oh, well, absolutely not. We're not going to make
like,
any.
Wait, I put it on and it went, oh.
Yeah, God, no, it's.
But Chris coming in with support for the show. He says, good morning, my brothers. Decent game, but it was a game of two bad teams. Yes, it was. Mecklenburg had a great article about all of our second and third level players getting playing time that will help in the future. Thoughts and happy holidays. My thoughts for the first half were I was driving home and I was, right in the middle of a drive. So somewhere around in South Georgia, Florida, Valdosta in there. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure I should operate heavy machinery while listening to this freaking game. At one point, there were 6 straight 3-and-outs between the two teams. And then it got it together. Then it started picking up. Some turnovers help with that one. And let's stay on Coach Chris's point here just a little bit. Who are some of the younger players you think that are getting some extra action as the tail end of the season that you think can benefit? And I'll start with one. Because someone else said his name. I think it was here. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to come back to Coach Chris. Joseph Trani says, Mathis is a player, too. I like that kid a lot. That's a player who's benefiting from injuries and getting to go out and play and earn a spot. Fifth, late-round guy. If he wasn't contributing, I wouldn't call him a bust. I call him a steal. That's a hit. That's a cheat code when you're getting him to play at this level. So one of those players, Chris, and then I'll turn it over to Nick, that is benefiting from the way the season has gone is Damari Mathis.
Other players benefiting from the way the season has gone. Deshaun Williams. I mean, it sucks that Draymond Jones is out for the year, but Deshaun Williams had, I think, 2 sacks in this game, and he's been playing.
A one-year deal, though?
He is a one-year deal. I'm having a hard time.
I'm thinking
okay.
Potential true building blocks. Like, think of your guys on second-year guys on rookie contracts like Jonathan Cooper going in and playing well yesterday. Baron Browning. Now I'm stealing all of them, but you messed it up.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with it because some of them seem obvious meat on the bone, and some of them didn't really have massive contributions yesterday. A lot of them were those 1-year mercenary players.
Greg Dulcich.
1 catch, had an okay run blocking game.
He's gotten a lot of playing time since Albert Okwuegbunam has been mothballed. If Albert O had been a player that we were hoping he would be, I'll go back, freezing cold takes. I get mad when people accuse me of saying stuff that I didn't say. There's plenty of stuff I've screwed up. You don't have to make things up. Yeah. There's plenty of stuff like Albert Okwuegbunam is going to be my breakout player for this team. Oops.
Yeah. Well, mine was KJ Hamler.
Boy, this is why these guys don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, I know. We missed too. But Greg Dulcich is getting a ton of playing time. Young players. How about, the receivers I don't know that anybody's really Jerry Jeudy. Yep. For that matter.
Jerry Jeudy, Dulcich, you're talking about Baron Browning. Nick Benito is out there getting more snaps this week. Granted, not, getting after the passer so much, but still looked better out there. You have so many players that have been young and injured that it's hard. Quinn Miners before the eye got injured. I mean, you're kind of decimated right now in that draft class before George Payton came in has pretty much been, gone. Outside of Jerry Jeudy, you're not getting contributions from a single player in that class because of injuries or failed to live up to their draft slot. So it's pretty tough. Jay Wuso coming in, where's Stern? He should be playing along Simmons, not Jackson. He has a hip injury. He's probably done for the year. We won't see him. That's another one. So it's just, there aren't that many recent draft picks that are contributing right now to even pick from due to injuries and the fact that we are the only one contributing from that 2020 class is Jerry Jeudy at this point, despite having 5 picks in the top 100. So rough in that regard. It's kind of tough to talk about some of those guys. Damari Mathis seems like the obvious one. Brandon Johnson as well. I mean, 3 catches.
It's probably on a 1-year deal though, right? As an undrafted free agent, or do you have control? I mean, I can look it up while you're talking about him. But again, I don't know that Brandon Johnson's a long-term contributor to this team.
If he is, it's like a 4th or 5th wide receiver, and he's going to have to show it as a special teams gunner as well. So I guess it's a possibility. The fact that he's getting reps out there, we have 3 more games. That's going to be a leg up for next season for him, no doubt. And we also liked him in preseason as well. He's a fine player, but probably not a difference maker out there. If you have him as a depth, I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that probably bounces around from practice squad to active roster
He's
across
an
the league.
exclusive rights in 2023.
So he'll be back. He'll be trying out for the camp next year, and we'll see what the roster and that room looks like.
And then Jalen Virgil isn't playing. Again, Jalen Virgil is more athlete. He's a track guy playing football.
And he's older too, I think.
So, that, again, he somebody forgot to pay attention on the first play, but guys that can only run fast are pretty easy to cover. I'm just going to stand back here and let you run to me, and then I'm just going to wait for you. I wouldn't mind seeing him back there returning some kicks, though.
Yeah, Montrell Washington. That's another one we can't really talk about. He's been not great.
It's been exciting. I'll tell you that. When he's back there returning punts, you're never sure what you're going to get. It keeps things interesting.
Interesting in a way that I
Not
feel
in a
like
good way.
Yeah, like this kind of way. Like, oh my God.
Oh God. Is he going to break it for 25 yards, or is he going to fumble it or catch it on the 2? What the hell is he going to do?
Is he even breaking it for 25? I don't even remember a single 25
For
yard.
a while, he was like second in the NFL in return yards. He was like 16 per.
Really? God, it does not feel he's been that explosive. Albert Knoppers, hello to you. I keep flashing you on here, but good morning to you, Albert. We got Quentin Caldwell. Good morning to you. We got Cleese in the house. Todd Smith, always with Starry Night. Howdy, Broncos country. Good to see you, Todd Smith. Always appreciate you coming in and joining us today. And we got
Skylar coming in. You guys mess up this name. I met somebody with the spelling of this name. I was like, how do you say your name? He's like, it's Skylar. I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty easy. It's an awesome show. Came in late. We will work out a kicker next year. Matt Prater putting Brandon to shame. He's at least 2 of our losses. I was just on Spot Rack looking at it. McManus is well paid.
Yes, he is.
Let me see where he is. He is right now, of your active players, Brandon McManus, his cap hit is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on the team at $4.2 million. 4.2. You feel like you're getting 4.2 out of him? He is on a contract for 20. He signed an extension recently. So
yeah, 2 years
he
ago.
has 2 more years left on his deal, but you would save 2.5 next year with a different kicker and $4 million in 2024 if you were to take his dead cap. So he's got a 5 and a 5.2 cap hit with a 2.5 dead cap next year. Do the quick math on that, and you save 2.5 if you move on from Brandon McManus next season. Would you work out a kicker next year? Yes, you would.
Yeah.
Yes, you would.
I will say credit to Brandon McManus on this one. I tweeted very snarkily after he missed that kick that, can't wait to hear whose fault this one is this week besides the kicker, because he likes to point fingers at everybody but himself, and he's got a weird kind of, fan base that follows him and says he doesn't anything wrong. But he came out after this game and be like, 38 yards, that's unacceptable, pretty much is what he said. And God bless you for that one, because you fall on the sword on that one, because there's only so many times you can point at everybody else for missing the kick. And obviously it takes a snap, the holder. But
when you're making the $5 million and you're an established guy, you should take the blame for everything. We can see if a snap was dropped. We can see, hey, I missed it. Just that's your job as a veteran who is well paid.
Yep.
Part of your job.
Yep. 100% though. I agree with you all the way. We got Low Mill coming in here saying good morning from the state of Michigan. Talk about cold places, man. You guys, hope you're doing well. We also got Lord of Liberty coming in saying if you are going to reach on someone, reach for Will Levis. If not, best player available. I don't think the Broncos are going to be in drafting range for Will Levis. And I think you're probably a year early on the quarterback position there. I think they will take one at some point in the draft. But I think it's probably not going to be until day 2, day 3, get somebody young in there to compete with Brett Rippon. I think the offensive functionality looked better with Rippon this week. I think he executes what Hackett's vision for the offense is better, but he's a worse quarterback than Russell Wilson. It's really what makes this whole thing tough. The Russell Wilson offense is so specific, and teams know what it is. You lose the ability to scheme week to week unless you can out-talent them. So we'll see what it looks like here. And it's also, I think, one of the reasons that the feelers right now for the head coaching position, Hackett's definitely gone. Maybe he's not gone. I think that there's been some feedback that maybe people aren't tripping over themselves to come to Denver to work with Russell Wilson.
Well, and I think part of it is also he's a likable person. Again, you want to cheer. As soon as I see him in a press conference, even now that he's turned into like dark Nathaniel Hackett, I still root for the guy. We get on here and we talk about, flippantly, like, oh, he's gone this and this. And then I watch him and it's like the person there, man, I want this guy to succeed. I like him. But from a cold-hearted spreadsheet analysis, I think he's gone. But who we're glad is here is Coach Chris coming in Broncos orange again. He says every time our quarterback gets sacked, the replay shows Reisner blocking no one and just watching. His play has been in massive decline for the past 2 years. He's got to go. Reisner, I will help you pack. Hashtag DB for life. Nick, how long have I been covering the Broncos?
2 years now? Three years almost?
2 seasons. Coach Chris is saying Reisner hasn't been playing well for what?
A bit. Since a
2
rookie
years
year.
now.
Yep.
So last year, as I was watching this, I kind of asked the question amongst our group here, why is Reisner getting a pass? Because I guess he had been good the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He wasn't last year. He wasn't very good last year. He was part of the problem against those AFC North teams that were coming in and bullying you all around the trenches. It hasn't gotten better this year. The 2 years I've been watching this team, your left guard position has been a problem. Your center has been a problem. Your right tackle has been okay. Your right guard has been hit and miss, depending on the health and availability of Quinn Miners, who has missed about half the games. And Bowles has been adequate, which really isn't good enough for his paycheck.
100%. He was not great this year.
Yeah, it's not good. He's been okay.
Yeah.
You've got bigger problems to fry, but he's been okay, but it's not relative to what he's getting paid. I'm like, why is Reisner getting a pass? Because he hasn't been very good. He really hasn't. He's cheap, on a rookie deal, but cheap and bad isn't doing you any good, man.
Yep. It's not, but that's the kind of the rookie contract wave, right? Especially if you use a guy in the draft a guy in the top 40. So tough. But Todd coming in here also saying, is there a center in the upcoming draft worth taking in the first round? Have not watched every single player so far. I guess if you think Peter Skoronski is going to end up on the interior and you want him to play center, that's an option to keep an eye on. He's been playing left tackle for the Northwestern Wildcats now for a couple years. He's got reportedly sub 33-inch arms. I think there's one single tackle in the entire NFL that has sub 33-inch arms. So that might be a massive point. I mean, he's an outlier if he's playing tackle and succeeding. Then at that point, I think the only one is Braden Smith, who's been very up and down this season for the Colts, probably better at guard than tackle, but he's one. The other one that I think I like, but his pass blocking is hit or miss. He's older. He's not an exceptional athlete. Is John Michael Schmitz, excuse me, at Minnesota.
I think song.
John Michael Schmitz, Jacob Jingleheimer Schmitz.
Jingleheimer Schmitz. Is that his full name?
It's John Michael Schmitz. It really is.
Okay.
6'4", 320 pounds out of the uniform.
I wouldn't say that to his face.
No, yeah. He's a big dude. I would say that he's probably more of a day 2 player though than a day 1. I just don't think this is a great offensive line class coming up here right now. The guys that I've watched, there are only 3 that I think are worthy of first round picks. In Paris Johnson Jr., who's going to be a top 10 pick. Peter Skoronski, who I think is more of a guard than a tackle and probably middle to late first round type of caliber player there. And then Broderick Jones, who's a good athlete, maybe also more of a guard than a tackle. But this is not I don't think this is a great top of the offensive line class. It's not good at offensive line at the top. It's not good at wide receiver at the top, which is crappy for the Broncos, but is what it is.
You can always use defense. Like I said,
true.
You're doing okay at corner. I can make an argument for a need just about anywhere when we start doing our mock drafts. Brad D had a comment here on YouTube that made me laugh about Prater no longer being a Bronco. I guess there were some off the field concerns. I didn't know the history on that, but that was a funny way of putting it. Brad, no, I'm not going to read it out loud.
Yeah, he make sure that if you drink, don't drive, especially in the holidays. You see much more of that. Bad road conditions. It's dark. Don't drink and drive.
You don't need there's no excuse. Not any ifs and buffs. Just don't. There's ride apps. Push of a button, you get a ride home.
Get a DD or get a 6-pack and drink it home. But just don't do it.
Then we'll talk about your alcoholism later, but don't endanger anybody else.
Yeah. Different conversation. Adam coming in saying, good morning, guys. 3-9 with 16 points a game. in 12 games with Wilson 1-1, 16 points in 2 games of Brett Rippon. Offensive looks more fluent with Rippon. Such a small sample size to get in there. I do think that your offense is more, you can have more of a horizontal quick pass game with Rippon out there. Yak opportunity, which we have not been seeing great with Russell Wilson this season. I do think that the run we saw against the Jets, I mean, Jets had a great defense out there. This was probably the worst defense you've played this year in the Cardinals. Um, Obviously, if you can have Latavius Murray with 130 yards, that's not a great look. And how bad your offensive line was, you still were running great. I think you lean into the run personnel, but I think that's much more of, I'm not going to read too much into the outcomes of the Rippon versus Russell Wilson game. It seems pretty obvious to me Russell's the better quarterback, even if you are limited what you can do schematically with him.
Yeah, again, that one boils down to opposition. I picked the win, but with Rippon, you made me pick the outcome of the game, predict the game with both quarterbacks. The Broncos beat this team. Doesn't matter who. They're just, the Broncos aren't good, but they're better than this. They're better than this. Their defense is solid. Their defense is still an upper tier unit. The Cardinals don't have anything that's upper tier. They're bad across the board, including effort right now, which is where you can grind them down in the running game for sure.
Yep. And we'll see if they can do that against the Rams this week too. Rams have been a pretty good defensive front team, but this late in the season, who wants it more? Is Sean McVay eyeing towards retirement? I mean, there's been a lot of Sean Payton to Rams talk. That's not a thing unless Sean McVay is moving on. So we'll see about that. Baker Mayfield, and we have the Rams playing tonight, a short week. Obviously, paying all that money for Bobby Wagner has not done things for them. Thank you, Denver, for the extra, $12 million to not pay him to come in and have the same outcome. Yeah, that's a fun game this week. Fun game against the Cardinals, too. Good to see the Broncos get into it. And one thing nobody's talked about in the chat yet, but we're talking about Russell Wilson versus Brett Rippon. What does the offense look like that's differently between the two? Big one here for me in this game, and this, again, small sample size. Broncos go 3 for 3 in the red zone this week. They end up winning 24-15. That 3 for 3 in the red zone is a big time difference maker.
Yeah, holding on to the ball helps.
God, yeah. Well, mostly. He still had a fumble. But.
There was an interception in the red zone. You just didn't start the play in the red zone too.
Yes.
So that probably doesn't count as a red zone turnover when you throw it deep. But holding on to the ball in the red zone helps because you could run the ball. If you can impose your will on a team in the trenches and run in the red zone, you are basically unstoppable. If I can run it right at you, it doesn't scheme schmeem. Doesn't really matter. And you could run against this team. And Murray and Mack ran well. They really did. They ran hard and they ran well.
Yep. And we also got our guy Adam coming back in here. He had a comment. Where'd you go, Adam? What would you guys change with the game plan when Russ is playing? I think that the quick pass game isn't going to be as great. What you need, I think, is a little bit more dynamism from your running back because Russell Wilson struggles with the placement of the quick game. He struggles with middle of the field reads. How do you work the quick game without using those things? You get the ball to a dynamic running back in space in the backfield. That's a leak out option out there. Then we saw that week 1 with Javonte Williams. I think he had 12 targets or something. He was out there getting the ball and making things happen after the catch. And the other thing is you got to run the ball more efficiently. I think the let Russ cook movement needs to die. He's not Drew Brees. We don't want him dropping back 50 times a game. He needs to be dropping back maximum 30 to 35 times a game, with the run game being playing a second fiddle off the run game. Now, you're not paying Russell Wilson to be that quarterback. I don't care. That's a sunk cost at this point. What's the most effective version of Russell Wilson? You're killing the team with a ground game, forcing them into cover 1, cover 3 looks, and then hitting them vertically off the play action. And I think that's the ideal fit.
Yeah, right now the stat that you're interested in is paying less per win. Yeah. That's the only one you're worried about. No, 21 of 26 for 200 yards. You were leaning on the short passing game. A lot of good play action and rollouts on that. And then some of Rippon's best plays were Patrick Mahomes dump offs. I'm getting wrapped up and I'm just able to shovel the ball to an outlet, which is good as well. So short passing play action. If the running game's working, the bootlegs will work too. So it kind of plays off of that. Game plan, run first. That's my game plan.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, we're going to start to wrap it on up here. Any final thoughts on this game, Scott, before we get on out of here? Obviously, credit to Justin Simmons, another multi-interception game here. Played great in this one. I thought the defense overall had a solid game. Only given up 15 points, 6 in the first half. Some of it coming off of a terrible botched kick there where the Broncos should have had the lead. Instead, they're down 6-3 going into half. And the Broncos' offensive explosion, probably their best third quarter of the entire season out there, because they've been horrible. I bet you their third quarter point differential is dead last in the league. This is probably the only game this year that I can think of with a positive point differential in the third quarter. So good to see them come out, run the football, overall protect the football. A lot to work on, but you can't get sacked if you are rushing the football. If it's a handoff, you're not getting sacked.
Final thoughts. Beating the team you should beat, play within yourselves, and make the plays. Fairly simple. Again, keep it simple, stupid. Fairly simple stuff. Let them make the mistakes. They're playing with a second and third quarterback. They're going to sail passes. Justin Simmons is right there to clean it up. Latavius Murray was great, and like I said, he has earned himself another contract for, maybe not with this team, but every time you go out there, and you hear the pros say this all the time. Every time we go out there, you're playing for your career. So he's out there trying to earn next season as well. Jerry Jeudy played well. Again, I thought Wattenberg grew into the game a little bit. So at right guard, that it's not quite as scary if you have to go out there and play with him again. Glasgow in the running game is much better than Glasgow in the passing game. So again, run the ball, use your play action, and the short passing game, and see where it goes, and lean on your defense.
Yep. 100%. I think that's the way to do it. And you got a chance to do that against the Rams. Thank you guys so much for coming in. And also shout out to the Broncos linebackers in this one, 10 tackles each. And again, your guy, Scott, Deshaun Williams, 2.5 sacks, I think 4 quarterback hits. He did well standing up for Draymond Jones, who was out in this one. Again, it was against an absolutely horrific Arizona Cardinals offensive line against a third string quarterback who looked like he was playing bird box football out there. But either way, good to see him get after it. Good to get a win again. Good to be 4-10 now, and great to be knocking that draft pick sent to Seattle down the board. Like I said it a few weeks ago. If we can make this pick be outside of the top 3 in the draft, I'm going to consider that a win, because if it's in the top 3, they are either walking away with Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, taking a quarterback, or trading down for a buttload of picks for because somebody's moving up for a quarterback. If you can get to like 4 or 5 or 6, they're getting a lot less value on that. So now it's just out of spite. That's what's in your coffee, Nick? It's a coffee, and I fill it with a little bit of spite, creamer and spite in there. But get out of the top 3. If you win against the Rams this week, I think you got a pretty good chance of not sending that top 3 pick to the Seahawks, which would be great.
You won't. There's the 5 wins right now is top 10. So if you were another 5-win team, it would be top 10. So you're right there. One final thought before the closer gets us out of here that I meant to say at the start, maybe the story of the game, and I'm burying the lead here completely. 20,000 no-shows. To me, forget the outcome against 2 bad football teams playing some bad football for a while and doing well, and we can talk about the players and the development of some of the young guys and some of the rookie contracts who are getting a chance. We can talk about all of that. The story of this game, and I buried the lead, was 20,000 Broncos country not showing up to this game. That speaks volumes. That speaks volumes about the direction of this team and any offseason changes they may or may not make, Nick.
Yeah. Yep. Well, guys,
we've got some people have a swear jar. We've got a side jar. So and we didn't read, Ethan. You're pulling them off of there.
Oh, sorry. I thought we did.
No, I said we're going to let the closer get us out of here. I wanted to finish on that one. Despite beating Arizona and having the same record, the Broncos are number 3 in the draft order, and Arizona number is 4 because of strength of schedule. That's right. Head-to-head goes out the window on draft order. If you look at Denver's 485, that is fairly strong. And in the 5-win realm, depending on what Green Bay. Well, see, here's the thing: is if the Rams beat the Packers, they're both 5-9. So someone's going to is going to be 5-9 after this. Need the Rams to win, then they're both 5-9. But 485 at 5-10 right now, if considering everybody else would put you at 9. So one more win changes this thing drastically. and your strength of schedules should, improve. So win one more game and you're doubling the draft pick of the Seahawks, which will feel good.
Yeah, we'll take it. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Ethan, for coming in there and closing us out. I will not be here tomorrow. We're not sure exactly what's going on with tomorrow morning's show. We got family in town, and we're going to be off spending our vacation a little bit early here. So I will be back again Thursday morning with you guys, covering the show again for Broncos for Breakfast with Scott, and we'll see what's going on. I think it's going to be Scott and Chad on Tuesday night, and Luke and Thomas Wednesday night, if I'm not mistaken. So see you guys again soon. Appreciate the heck out of you. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BFB_pod and, of course, at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, join our Facebook groups at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as the ticker says there underneath, please subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Hit that bell notifications. That way you know when we go live. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? And Cristiano coming in with the guys, you're the best. Nick, we'll miss you. I'll be back on Thursday. I'm a little bit nervous about
one show.
Yeah.
Follow us. Make sure you're subscribing to YouTube. I probably won't go solo tomorrow morning, so we'll probably see you on Thursday. But there's a chance I might hit that caffeinated Lion Coffee bliss going. Like, you know what? I need to talk some Broncos football by myself with Broncos Country. But likely we'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah. We'll see you Thursday. I'm a little bit nervous about driving over the mountain passes because we had a good snow that came here, and I saw there was like a 2-hour backup going over the pass. But I got my my chains for the Jeep and everything, so we should be okay there. But heading over to Leavenworth, which is like an old logging town that they made into a Bavarian Christmas village that they go absolutely nuts for Christmas. So it should be a lot of fun. We have a cabin out there, bringing the pets with, and just got to get there. A little bit nervous for the drive, but we'll be okay.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So
make sure you've got good tires. Good tires.
Yep. Good tires and snow chains. So we'll be
that
nice
makes
and
any
safe.
tires good.
Yeah, mostly. We'll see how much drift there is. But appreciate the heck of you guys. You have a great one. Make sure you continue to choose kindness and compassion. Victory Monday. First time we got to say that in a while. Go Broncos.